Hey, what's going on? I think you can hear me now. I apologize. We will run it back, but basically we'll just start it from here. Miami falls 9-6 in the pool play to NC State. It's the deciding game, although Miami does play another game. It's a 3-team pool. Miami plays Wake Forest on Friday, but NC State goes 2-0 in the pool, so Miami can only go 1-1 at best. So NC State moves on to the semifinals. Let's get into it. I appreciate you guys for being here. Matt, what's going on? We are going to go straight over to the Zoom calls with Gino DiMare and players. I was getting into this one. So Miami led 4-1 in the third inning, but unable to build off that, only get a couple runs after that. And the story of this game is what NC State freshman Tommy White was able to do. He comes in, he's having a huge year, one of the best in college baseball history. Today he goes 3 for 4, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs. You know, he had this solo homer to start it, but I thought it was that 2-run homer there in the third inning to get NC State back into it after Miami takes that 4-1 lead. So it goes 4-3, and he's able to hit another home run later. You know, and obviously a big one there. And Miami had a tough time pitching to him. If I'm able to ask a question, I'm curious about the game plan. We weren't able to talk to Gino DiMare very long in Coral Gables before they left, but I definitely wanted to ask him about how they planned on facing him. And if you've seen his highlights this year, and that's what makes him such a good hitter. He hits all kinds of pitches. He pitches to over the fence, over the left field, center, and right. You saw tonight the 3 home runs opposite field to right field. He hits pitches up. He hits them low in the zone. He hits fastballs. He's a tough guy to go against. But I'm curious if Miami if they felt good about the game plan. Did they miss on their pitches? You know, because all 3 home runs were to right field. Is that where they wanted to pitch him? Did they feel like inside he was just even more dangerous going inside? Miami drops to 39-17 on the season. NC State with a couple wins, so they're 35-20. They'll face Pitt in the semifinals. Miami, once again, will play Wake Forest, and that is certainly a big game, and we'll talk about that here, but I want to get right into some highlights so you guys can see that if you didn't get a chance to see the game. I know it was tricky for a lot of people here.
Freshman year. This is deep, right center, to the wall, and gone! Tommy White, the freshman, going deep for the Wolfpack in the first. Up the middle. That is in there for a single. Gutierrez, head first slide, and he beats the throw. Capus an RBI single, and we're tied up at 1. To left field. That one is gone. And a 3-run home run. Yoandy Morales for the Canes.
So much for trying to beat the ship. First pitch fastball away. Tries to sneak one inside. And we have a kart race.
It's the right field. Deep and gone. Home run number 2 in the game. In as many as bats for Tommy White. Today against Wake Forest and scored a run and drove in one. This is the right field on the run. Gutierrez going back to the wall. He jumps. He can't make the catch. 2 runs are going to score in the deep drive to right field by James Gruber. From Miami, going to walk towards the dugout area for further evaluation, it appears. And Gene into Gutierrez, who crashed into the right field wall, trying to catch that fly ball off the bat of James. So the intentional pass scored. It's a big bounder. Patelli throws it across. The throw bounces away from Capus. The run is going to score. And then Willickson came in. To right field. It's an absolute blast. And it's fair for a home run. Romero smashes one to right field for a solo shot. Right field. Forget it. Goodbye. Bearing down. This to right field. It's deep. It's gone. fielded a single. This is going to score a run. So Morales, there's the bunt, right in front of the plate. They'll try for the play at the plate. Villeman strike.
So there we go. Take a look at some highlights. Again, what stood out to me was a lot of big plays in this one. A lot of guys driving the ball. From a Miami standpoint, Yo-Yo Morales led them. Goes 2 for 5 with a home run, his 14th of the season with 4 RBIs. I apologize. 4 RBIs. Max Romero hits his 12th home run. CJ Kayfus reaches base 3 times, drives in a run. Miami only 7 hits, 6 left on base. A couple positives, a couple negatives at the plate. We will get into all that, and I'll get into that in a little bit here. But again, waiting on Coach DiMare. Hopefully we'll get some players. This is being ran by the ACC, so they'll be in charge of that. We will see if the losing team comes out first or NC State. If NC State comes out here, I might jump on and just hear what the coach has to say, similar to what we've done in other post-game shows when the opposing coach is available. From a hitting standpoint, let's talk about Yo-Yo Morales. Again, 2 for 5. Miami gets a couple guys on base there in the 9th inning. They're down 9-6. Renzo Gonzalez pinch hits, gets a base hit, almost gets picked off. Then CJ Kayfus reaches on a walk. But Edgardo Villegas strikes out. Tough night for him, 0 for 4 with a walk in his first start since May 11th. He had been dealing with a knee injury. And then Morales steps up to the plate, and NC State goes with their closer, and Villeman, who pitched 3 innings last night, pitched a lot on Saturday. They go with him again. Morales strikes out to end the game. It would have been tough for Miami for them to come back. They do get a couple guys on base, which is a positive in that sense, but certainly not enough for Miami from a hitting standpoint and pitching, giving up too many home runs. Miami gives up 4 home runs on the day. Palmquist gives up 2, both to Tommy White. Tommy White also hits 1 off Renato Gallo. And with Gallo, with him, I think it was interesting that they run him back out there for the 6th inning. They're just getting set up here from the Zoom. Okay, we got Coach here.
We'll start first with Miami. If you have a question on Zoom, go ahead and use the raise hand tool. We'll start first with the opening statement from Coach. Go ahead.
Well, disappointing. We knew this. Obviously, this game was important through our guys, and we didn't pitch well. We just didn't pitch well. We fell behind a lot of hitters. Pitched from behind most of the day. They had a lot of free swings, like balls that they didn't hit, even if they didn't hit out of the ballpark. They were swinging freely. I didn't like that. Yeah, it was a little disappointing because I'd like to see us play better in this first game and an important game for us because we know where we're at and we want to try to be one of our goals, try to be a top 8 seed. And so we kind of put ourselves out there a little bit. And that just makes this next game all that more important.
Let's open up for questions in person. Just raise your hand. Go ahead.
Coach, have you ever seen anything like that what Tommy White did today?
Yes, I have. Fortunately for us, we've done that to other people. Well, I've been coaching a long time. My goodness, I've seen 3 home runs hit in super regional, or regional, I should say, by Kevin Brown. But you don't like it get done against you, certainly. And he's got a lot of power. They were all the opposite field, and he might have been a little tardy on a few of them, and he still drove it out of the ballpark. So he's got a lot of strength. Yeah, I mean, you hate to have their best guy hurt you in those situations, but it just so happens. We had to pitch to him in some of those situations. When we had a chance not to, we didn't pitch to him. It's kind of a little too late.
And where do you think you stand on the 8th seed?
Probably on the bubble.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go 1-1, I don't know. I honestly don't know how all this works. We've certainly we've had a very good year and a very good conference. We are 2nd year in a row now. We're half a game out of being in the Coastal Division. Well, we were half a game out this year. We'll be number 1 seed in the ACC. I think, we got to look at the Wake Forest game as the biggest game of the year, which we've been doing all year. Every game we play is the biggest game of the year. Shouldn't be any different. But I think if we go 1-1 here, I'd like to think we got a chance to be a top 8 seed.
Got a question on Zoom from Chris Stock. Go ahead, Chris.
Coach, if you could expand on the game plan going into it with Tommy, were you trying to go away? Obviously, he's had a lot of success all year long. And then also, would you make a Palmquist tonight?
With Tommy.
Yeah, no. I have to look back, Chris. I don't know exactly what we were trying to do in terms of in or out. They were fastballs, I guess. But Carson's got to throw inside. And if I had to guess, we're trying to go inside at some point there. I don't know on those particular pitches. I'm not calling the pitches. JD is, but Carson has a tendency to miss arm side, and that might have been the case there. I'm assuming those pitches weren't in, that he drove the other way. So I'll have to watch the video. But yeah, so that was the point there. Is just trying to get more. He's got to throw inside right. He's got to throw both sides of the plate and be effective with his changeup. Yeah, so that kind of answers the second question. He fell behind some and just didn't locate, and they did a good job of driving the ball the other way. Their right-handed hitters hit some balls really hard the other way, and of course, they were all hit out that way. If I'm not mistaken, all the home runs were hit that way.
Any other questions for Coach or the student athletes? All right, guys, we're going to make this quick and easy. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, bye, too.
Freshman year. This is deep right center.
Okay. I was trying to ask a question. I thought there would be okay. I'm exiting out of the Zoom. I thought there were other people in there. I asked my one question. You guys have seen me do it. I try to ask a question. I back off, let other people ask questions. I guess I was the only one in there to ask a question. After the other reporter, I tried to raise my hand. I had more questions. I had all these questions I wanted to get to. The 7 hits, not enough, and also the importance of the Wake Forest game. We've got a lot to talk about. Disappointing we couldn't get Coach a little bit longer. I would have asked players as well. We had Max and Yo-Yo there. So live and learn. We'll move forward here. So again, Miami, like Coach said, facing Tommy White, certainly a good hitter. If you watch his home runs all season long, he's hitting them to all fields. And, that makes it difficult, that you can't he doesn't necessarily from my standpoint, look to have this obvious weakness. But like Coach mentioned, Carson's got to mix it up and go inside a little bit. So that was disappointing. Carson, this was a big game for Miami. If they win this game, they win the pool. You want Palmquist, first team all ACC guy, to pitch well, and he did not. And he had been on such a hot streak. So he's got to regroup. And I think that's where this team is in general. They've got to regroup in terms of, not just on Friday, but regroup for the regional. The way it's projected, Miami right now going into this week of games, there's a lot of games going on. This one certainly hurts Miami. But Miami is projected as the 5 national seed. The reason why that's a big deal is because the top 8 will be the super regional host if they advance that far. So top 16 host a regional, top 8 get the super regional. That's basically how it works. So Miami's looking at that, and like Coach mentioned, they're on the bubble. They feel like, they were 5 coming into it according to the latest projections, and they're going to look to win that game against Wake Forest, and I think that's important. And also, Miami's struggled down the stretch a little bit. So they do win the series against Notre Dame, but they were struggling a little bit, and I feel like every game matters. That's why that game on Friday matters. Wake Forest is going to throw their ACC pitcher of the year in Rhett Lauder, right-handed pitcher. Miami gets a chance to run it back, leave here going 1-1, which at this point, certainly disappointing, not what they wanted, but to get that win, I think that would help them. Kind of what we were saying last weekend against Notre Dame. Obviously disappointed they weren't going to win the Coastal Division after the loss, most likely, with Virginia Tech, but bounce back, get the win that you can get, control what you can control. I feel like that's how you have to look at Friday as well. Plus, Miami needs all the wins they can get, to be in that top 8 seed. It's very important. Miami's not hosted a super regional. They haven't done a lot of these things since 2016. That's the last time that they had a really good season, hosting a regional, getting the College World Series, winning a bunch of games. And this team right now, this is the best ACC record they've had since that 2016 team. A lot of comparisons in terms of this is the best team since then. Certainly They've got to finish strong. They've got to get wins, and guys got to pick it up. Let's talk about Morales. 2 for 4, 2 for 5. Goes 2 for 5 with the home run, the 4 RBIs. I felt like that was great. The 3-run homer, but also the base hit to left field. You saw it in the highlights. That's big because he comes into this game in his last 6 games, 3 for 25 with 13 strikeouts. If you're looking for positives, that's a big one for me because Morales is one of these guys. He's arguably their best player or best hitter, leads them in doubles, triples, and home runs coming into it. So certainly if he's clicking, I feel like he sets the tone as well with his energy. Guys really look to him. He's middle of the lineup guy. I know other guys have had good seasons. CJ Kafis, Jacob Burke. I understand those guys have had good years. Max Romero's coming on strong the last month or so. But Morales, to me, is kind of sets the tone for this team. They really rally around him. He brings the energy. When he's playing well, I think it helps the whole team because he can bring a lot to the team at the plate. Jacob Burke, mentioned him. He gets a base hit there in the 3rd inning, extends his hitting streak to 13 games. You know, and I wasn't able to ask, but I find there's some interesting things going on right now with some of the other guys, essentially. Not their top guys, not the ones that are all ACC candidates, but these other guys coming on. Want to make mention, Edgardo Villegas gets his spot back in the 2nd hole, in the 2-hole there in the batting order, goes 0 for 4. It's his first start since May 11th. First start in 2 weeks. It was his first at-bats. He had 1 pinch hit appearance after that, but since then he's not started. Doesn't do real well. In this one, hopefully he can shake it off because he can be a productive guy for them. We've seen that. He gets in these really good hot stretches. They need him. If he's going to bat 2, he's got to deliver. We didn't see that tonight. Also, Dorian Gonzalez Jr., we've talked about him. You've heard me mention him. I think he's a guy that's got to pick it up offensively, although coach continues to run him out there with his spot. You know, he's still, you know, as soon as he's been healthy, he's still, you know, being that second baseman, the everyday guy. However, if you're looking for something maybe, tonight, Gonzalez goes 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Then Ariel Garcia, who'd been hitting the ball well, a right-handed batter. Gonzalez a lefty. Coach decides to pinch hit Garcia in the 8th inning to face a right-handed pitcher. And I found that to be interesting because maybe, just maybe, that Gonzalez isn't bringing enough in terms of the coach's eyes. Or maybe it's just this game. I would have liked to have asked that question as well. But Garcia doesn't take advantage of it. He grounds out there to end the 8th. But certainly something to watch for moving forward as he's pulled there. But Gabby Gutierrez, one of these other guys, exits there in the 4th inning. You saw it on the highlights that I showed. Runs into the wall, smashes into the wall, comes out of the game in the 4th inning, replaced by Mike Rosario. So I would have liked to, if we could have got some sort of update on Gutierrez, how he's doing, because he had been one of their best hitters over the weekend series against Notre Dame. So certainly that one hurts there. So these other guys, we don't talk about all the time, but there's some things kind of going on with this other group. What else have we got here? Any questions or comments? Drop in the comments below. Once again, I would have liked to have gotten DiMare and players longer. I had a lot of questions here, but it didn't work out. That's how it goes sometimes. But I appreciate you guys being here. You know, the other thing I would have asked Coach is who's going to start on Friday. It was always going to be an interesting situation, starting pitcher. I'll just pull up the graphic because I have it here. But look, because Miami's not going to advance after pool play, after Friday when they face Wake Forest at 3 p.m. there on RSN. Look, they've got to go with Carson Ligon here. He's the number 2 guy. I think getting him this postseason experience is a big game. And then if they want to, have these other guys ready with Rosario and Garland. Garland's not pitched in a while. He's done some long relief stuff out of the bullpen, but I think Ligon needs some confidence booster in a big game. And, I think this would be a good part because you definitely need him to pitch well in the regional. The regional is interesting. I've talked about projections. Latest projection had Miami as the 5 national seed hosting the Coral Gables regional. The number 2 seed, and I've seen this throughout the year, the number 2 seed would be Florida. in the latest projections. And certainly Florida is in the mix. They've been in the mix at that 2 spot for a lot of the year. Every time I kind of check in, Miami's the hosting and Florida's the 2. It's happening. So Miami's got to do well against that. We saw what happened. Miami loses 2 out of 3 to Florida at the very beginning, at the early part of the season. So that could be a potential thing coming into play. But I think they definitely got to go with Ligon here. He'll be on 6 days rest. Again, Garland's not pitched in a while, but if it's anything other than Ligon, I think it puts up a really interesting conversation of why, in terms of regional play. One of the reasons why, other than trying to win an ACC title, I think this week was going to be very important in terms of starting pitching, in terms of that number 3 guy, the number 3 or number 4, because there's a lot of question marks with Rosario, but he's been slotted in that number 3 spot for most of the season. Garland's been the midweek guy at number 4. Garland has not faced any ACC competition. They never made the move there to pull Rosario, even though Rosario's numbers aren't great. So what will happen in regional play? Will they give the ball to Rosario for a start before Garland? How would that play out? And how would that work out? So I thought they could have sorted that, because I think if something happened in the ACC tournament, either gives them a lot of confidence in one or the other, although I still think Rosario has the edge in the coach's mind, because like I said, they've kept Rosario in there, So I would assume they'll still do that moving forward. We're going to wrap this up. I've touched on a lot of different things here. Shout out to Al. Glad you're here. Lakers All Day is here. Miami lost 9-6. And you know what? I was going to put a graphic at the top in case you didn't see the scroll. Maybe I'll do that for next time, just at the top so you can see what. But yeah, Miami lost 9-6. Miami, 6 runs, 7 hits, 1 error, 6 left on base. NC State, 9 runs, 12 hits, 0 errors, and 8 left on. Looking at the more pitching situation, Alex McFarland did real well. 2 innings. He gives up a couple hits, but he gets out of it, gets the 4 strikeouts. And then Walters comes in, and he's the only guy to retire Tommy White. So he does well, bounces back after last outing, giving up that 3-run homer against Notre Dame. I want to show you guys, and maybe you guys were thinking this too, and this was another thing I had written down to ask Coach. It's in the 6th inning here. So Ronaldo had been in there. He pitched 1 1/3 inning at this point. I think he was between 25 and 30 pitches. They run him back out there for the 6th. And this is where I thought it was interesting, because I thought maybe, he finished the 5th, or finished the 4th, finished the 5th. Maybe it was time to go to someone else. And just the decision-making process with that, because they run him out there, he gives up a base hit. And if they run him back out there, I thought maybe if they give up the base hit, maybe make the change there. But they didn't. They let him stay in. He gives up the homer to White. And that's where things kind of turn for Miami. Because with that, they go up 9-. That was in the 6th. Yeah, that's when they scored their 9th run and really kind of stretched it out with the 2-run homer there. So Miami's hanging into it, and at that point, they made it 9-5. Felt disappointing. It felt like a big point, even though they were certainly giving up runs well before that. So Miami on the strikeouts, 11 strikeouts, or that's for NC State. 13 strikeouts for Miami. Touched on Gonzalez with 3, nothing going for Levinson. And really nothing from that bottom. Top 4 guys combined for 5 hits. Burke picks up a hit in the 5 spot. And then Gonzalez, after that back half of the order just didn't produce. Gonzalez comes in as a pinch hitter in the 9th and gets a base hit. Other than that, 2 hits for those bottom 5 hitters. Certainly need more production for those guys. Okay, let's wrap this thing up here. Once again, just showing you guys the pool in case you didn't know, but the rules are there so you could see it. Miami has a big game against Wake Forest, not for the ACC tournament, but for momentum heading into the NCAA tournament and for the hosting a super regional to be one of those top 8 seeds. NCAA tournament announcement will come on Monday. So we'll see how everything shakes out. We'll see how everything shakes out in the ACC. From an NC State standpoint, they needed this game. They're on the bubble, getting in. ACC's looking to get 10, 11 maybe teams in the ACC or the NCAA tournament. And this is one of the teams that they're in the mix. Let's see if you guys have any questions. Drop in the comments. I'm going to edit this thing at the beginning with the audio issues. Shout out to Hans is here. Appreciate you for being here. You can always flip it back. We got just a couple quick comments from Coach. I'll definitely put the chapters out. If you guys want to jump right to see what Coach had to say, I will do that. But let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Definitely stay tuned, though. I think I hit everything that I wanted to. There, but just really, it just came down to they could not handle Tommy White. They couldn't keep him in the ballpark. That was a big question mark coming into this game. He had been so good. He's up to 26 home runs on the season, having a huge freshman year. Miami gives up 3 home runs to him, and that's really where this game was lost. Miami couldn't keep the game in the ballpark. I feel like Miami's one of these momentum. They really feed off the positive momentum or negative, if it's going one way or the other. And I felt like the momentum swing, NC State playing in North Carolina certainly helped them. And Miami just couldn't get back over the hump. They do close it. You know, they get that 5th run, which I thought was big at the time. You know, pull within 6-5 in the 5th, but they give up another run in the bottom of the 5th. Just couldn't hold them there. They give up that 2-run homer there in the 6th that I talked about, which felt like a really deflating moment with his 3rd home run. Once again, I would have liked to have asked Coach about that, the decision process there. Okay, but let's wrap this up. Definitely stay tuned for more coverage, more comments on things. Definitely, if you guys haven't yet, definitely check out the high school commits. So I did some highlights. Definitely, it's on the channel. Miami had 5 commits playing in the Florida High School State Championships. Highlights of those guys are on the channel, so definitely check that out. Those guys played well. If you want to hear an interview with one of them, Jake Kulikowski, check out the ACC Tournament preview show. Scroll to the end. There's an interview there with Jake. You can watch it. He definitely has a bright future. But I want to thank everybody for jumping on here. Disappointing. Miami falls 9-6 to NC State here at the Inside the U live post-game show. Miami 6 runs, 7 hits, 1 error, 6 left on. NC State 9 runs, 12 hits, no errors, 8 left on. Miami drops to 39-17. NC State improves to 35-20. Miami will look for its 40th win of the season on Friday against Wake Forest in the final game for the Hurricanes in the ACC tournament in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ball game is at 3 p.m. on RSN. Thank you. Have a good night and take care.